might not suck this year.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Maz.
Me.
Presented by Bigelow Tea, Jackson Lumber, Blue Moonlight, Wellesley Testosterone, FindMazMoney.com, Gem Plumbing, and by Golf. On Boston's home for sports, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Bases loaded. 2 out, 2-2 on count of 1. And here it comes from McGill. Swinging a high pop-up into right. Frelick underneath it. And that will do it. McGill hangs on by a thread. Red Sox make it fascinating in the end, but they fall for the third consecutive time. They lose on this Memorial Day 3-2.
And that run you gave up in the 8th now really coming back to bite you, right? The offense woke up a little bit there in the 9th. But you got to get it going. You got to put some runs up on the board here to break what you got going on here lately.
So I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to begin the show tonight by telling you tell many of you exactly what I said today at the start of Felger and Maz, which is I've seen enough. I've seen enough of the 2025 Red Sox to give you a pretty good idea as to what they are. I think we all have, and we have a pretty good understanding of what they are. The question is whether or not you think something different and whether they can surprise us and change our minds. I personally don't think they can. And I've said this to you all a million times. I have a hard time lying to you. So I believe that there are certain things that are just going to come out because it's the way I feel. And with the 2025 Red Sox, I have reached the point that they are what they are. And to borrow a line from an old football coach, they are what their record says they are, which is a bad team. The 11th worst record in baseball right now, your Boston Red Sox on May 27th, the Monday or Tuesday, rather, again, long weekend for everybody, the Tuesday after Memorial Day. 617-779-0985 is the number on the Baseball Hour. I will just tell you that it is a Tuesday, much to my chagrin, which means we will do Trivia Tuesday later on in the show. We'll give away a golf gas card. But my questions to you tonight really pertain to the baseball team, the state of the baseball team, and I personally find it difficult to keep this all to singular short-term 2025 topics when the Red Sox are the same thing they have been for the last 5 or 6 years. So that gets difficult for me because I don't have much faith in them right now. And as a result, I have 2 questions for you. One of which is a little more oriented for the short term. One of which is more of a long-term question. So the first question is this. And I'll ask Jimmy Stewart, who is with us tonight. Kevin Majori's back there as well. Do you think it will get better? Where they are right now, 27-29, after 56 games, do you believe that it will get better? Do you believe that the first 56 games, which is now more than a third of the season, do you believe that the first 56 games are not a fair representation of who the Red Sox are? Or is this what they are? Is this what it's going to be? And are we on pace or on pace is the wrong word? Are we destined for another 500 or sub-500 season? Or is this all going to change? So again, do you think it will get better? Jimmy Stewart, you want to answer?
The answer is it will not get better because there has to be some show of urgency from the manager, from the players, that they want it to improve. Pulling Crochet out of a game last week on a pitch count because you can't adjust to the situation. That's a problem. Not sweeping the Orioles over the weekend. That's a problem. There has to be more urgency to win baseball games now rather than over the course of the entire season because you're not the 04 Red Sox, you're not the 07 Red Sox, where you can just plan ahead for the postseason. You need wins now, and there's no urgency from anybody in the dugout to win games now.
So, Jimmy, this leads to the second question. And again, I don't think it's going to get better. I don't. And now on top of it all, they've had a couple of things go against them. The Casas thing, really not that big a deal. They can overcome that one. Losing Bregman for potentially, let's call it a couple of months, if it's the same as the injury he had 4 years ago. Losing Bregman for a couple of months is a big blow. Even then, I will tell you they can overcome it. They have Marcelo Meyer in the minor leagues, who's, well, I say they had. He's now up with the big club. But the point being that putting Meyer in at third base, not a bad option at the moment. It's a good one.
Except he should have been here 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago when Trevor Story was failing.
But the ultimate point, Jimmy, obviously, is that Meyer's a good player. He's got talent. Meyer could play well and could be good enough where they can win some games while he's here. But again, the second question, if the Red Sox are to turn this around, who will lead them out of it? And this is a big one for me, because this to me is a bigger picture question that really relates to the last 5 or 6 years. Who is going to lead them out of it? Who is it going to be in that Red Sox clubhouse that takes control of the team and says, we're going to change the identity here. We're not going to be what we've been for the last 5 or 6 years. Because I am a believer in this. I believe that at some point, your identity has to change. Your value system has to change in order for you to change behavior that's gone on for a number of years. Something's got to be altered. So when the Red Sox won the World Series in 2004, that process did not just happen overnight. Over a period of years, they brought in talented guys with attitude, and then the ownership of the team changed. And even then, they had to bring in the right manager at the right time with the right talent. And it had to be a group of players who looked at the history of the team and an organization that had lead sewn into the uniform. And they had to have players that could carry that weight and that said, we don't give a rat's ass what happened over the last 86 years. In fact, we'll even spot a 3-0 series deficit to the Yankees, and we're still going to come back and win the thing. It took a certain culture, certain identity, a certain urgency. That's what you need to win. And so look no further than the NBA. And I know I'm crossing sports, but the Celtics won a year ago. Why? In part, they got an easy road. But on top of that, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and a number of other people in the organization had been to the conference finals, even the finals, and they lost. And they got tired of it. So they were on a mission for the entire season where they won 64 games, I think it was, never really skipped a beat, never took a break, and during the playoffs, controlled every series they played in. They were on a mission, like the 2018 Red Sox. So you tell me, who's on the mission now? Is it Alex Cora? Because I don't think he is. I don't think Devers is on any kind of mission, or he would have agreed to play first base. Are the guys who sign contracts on missions? Alex Bregman has championships, and I actually think he was on a mission. It might have been for free agency, but whatever. In any case, he was motivated. And maybe he's just a pure pro, but he's out now. Christian Campbell had how many games in the big leagues before he got a contract? And go right down the list. Brian Bale had a contract already. He doesn't have to win. Cedar Rafaela, same deal. He doesn't have to win. He got his $50 million right out of the gate. So my concern is that the Red Sox don't have anyone who's on that mission anymore. Someone who it's so important to win that they say, it's my number one priority. I'm in a good place. I have no home issues. I'm coming in. I want to win, and I'm going to show these guys how to do it. Because I think the Red Sox have a clubhouse and a culture that has really become complacent with 500 play. That's what I think it is. I don't think there's anyone who has shown up that is so hell-bent on winning that they won't accept losing. So, Cora, he got his contract. He was talking about moving into the front office 3 years ago, maybe longer. Maybe that was some sort of contract ploy, but whatever it was, then he got the contract. Does he sound like the same guy who took the job in 2018? Because I don't think he does. And again, maybe that's human nature. But they seem like a team to me that is content to just lose games, and certainly that is it seems to have no urgency to move runners over, make simple plays and simple sacrifices. Because that's what it's going to take to win now. Now they have to make it a priority. Maybe they didn't before because they thought they had more talent. Now they don't. So how many of these guys, again, are really hell-bent on proving that they're winners and intent on getting a ring? Because I question whether or not they are. And Craig Breslow, I'm not sure he was even ready for the job. I'm not sure he'd have the job at all. I'm not sure he understands fully what he's gotten himself into. So we talk about Breslow like he's a former player who was here in 2007 and won. He was literally here for 10 minutes. And I say 10 minutes, but one season. It's not as if he spent 8 years in Boston playing for the Red Sox, making annual runs at a championship. And when he got the job, he was Jimmy 12th on their list of candidates.
He was the 12th guy.
So is Breslow managing for the long term with Meyer and Anthony and Trevor Story? Is he managing for the long term or the short? Because it feels like the long. Who's emphasizing the win now? Do they really want to win now? Because I think now more than ever they need that after seeing what we've seen. 27 and 29. So you tell me, who's going to lead them out of it? Who? Because at this stage, my faith in the Red Sox is so low that I think we're perfectly on track for another mediocre year, and there isn't anybody there that wants to change it. And Meyer and Anthony, first of all, why isn't Anthony here yet if someone wants to change it?
He just homered, by the way, for the Woo Sox.
Okay, but those guys are trying to get their footing in the big leagues. And I want to talk about how the Red Sox are running their organization now, specifically as it pertains to these young guys, the path for them, the development path for them to arrive in the big leagues, and how much that has changed in the last 15 years in the organization, because it's changed a lot. So I see a number of you lined up. Don't go anywhere. I'll get to your calls as soon as we come back. 617-779-0985 on the Baseball Hour.
You're listening to
Yeah, it's frustrating. Tired of losing close games. We just need to figure it out and win some games, bottom line.
Yeah, particularly, when Garrett is throwing like that, does that amplify the frustration?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in the game. We feel like every time he goes on the mound, it's a great thing for us. Such a competitor. Everyone loves him. It's just disappointing that we can't come through from him. Yeah, we just got to figure it out. Like you said, there's some good at-bats here and there, and then, but we're just not getting the job done. It's not for lack of effort or, work ethic, game planning. It's just, we're not doing it. We suck right now. We got to just be better.
So let me tell you this. After a long weekend especially, and it was an especially long weekend because I took Friday off as well. So 4 days, this has been building up and I've been stewing, and I got so many different things in my head that it's hard for me to contain them all. Because right now, I am so agitated with so many things going on with the Red Sox, it isn't even funny. And they have nothing to do with injury. So, for example, Garrett Whitlock in the 8th inning yesterday walked some guys, gave up a run, made the score 3-1 instead of 2-1, didn't keep it at 2-1. Garrett Whitlock this year is walking guys at twice the rate that he did when he first came to the Red Sox. It should be the opposite. In other words, a guy comes to you as a tremendous strike thrower. Tremendous. It was one of his greatest assets. And he was walking 2 guys per 9 innings. Now it's basically 4. Why? How did that happen? And who do I blame for that? I want to blame Andrew Bailey. What? How did Whitlock get worse? How did that happen? That's number one. Number two, as it pertains to the development of the play, and I say number one, I'm giving these to you in no particular order. I'm just going to get a couple off the top of my head. But as it pertains to the young players, you remember years ago when the Red Sox had a productive minor league system, they generally brought those players into the big leagues one at a time. The idea was we're going to integrate a new guy into a lineup that's established and capable so that there is no pressure on that player. We can bat him at the bottom of the lineup, integrate his way into the operation, and go from there. And they did the same thing with starting pitchers. Clay Buchholz, Papelbon, who they then moved to the bullpen, John Lester. There were established veterans that carried the weight. Jacoby Ellsbury, Dustin Pedroia batted at the bottom of the lineup. Then they were ready, once they got established, they were ready to take on bigger roles. So you tell me, did they do that with Tristan Casas? Or did Tristan Casas come into a crap organization at that time that was struggling to stay at 500 and had not a ton around him in a lineup? Because they didn't care during those years to go out and put a competitive playoff caliber team on the field so that Tristan Casas understood that there was an expectation. And also so that he could make his mistakes and not hurt the team. So that there wasn't so much put on Tristan Casas early, or on Brian Bayo, or on Ceddanne Rafaela. Instead, they've all come to mediocre outfits where the question then becomes, well, if they get something out of the rookie, they might actually be okay. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens there. And when that happens, now you're affecting the player's development. Which brings me to Christian Campbell and Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony. So with Christian Campbell, I think their heart was in the right place. They got Crochet. They got Bregman. They built a better team. It looked like they were going to fit Campbell in the lineup, although they did bat him aggressively in the batting order relatively early. I think he was hitting 6th on opening day. Maybe it was 7th. If it was 7th, I'd take that back. But you get the idea. Now they come in, and Meyer comes in now, and what's the expectation? Bregman just went down. The season is failing. You have to save it. And it's going to be the same when Anthony gets here. Hardly the right way to integrate young talent. They should have had better pieces around these guys when they brought them in. And they should have tried to integrate them one at a time with a very deliberate plan. Now, I understand some of that's beyond their control with when they hit. But now when you bring them in because of injury and failure, now there's all this expectation on them. And it's, well, how's this going to work? Not to mention the fact that quickly, Campbell has already played 3 positions or 2, and they're working him out at a third. Meyer was getting ready at second base in AAA. Now he's at third. Ellsbury came up, played the outfield. Pedroia played second base. It was simple. It was clear. They had pieces around them. Those kids could make their mistakes and just get their feet wet. Now, total fire drill. Dave's in Vermont. He wants to talk about the Red Sox season. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Tony. I came into Memorial Day weekend with a little bit of hope, being it was the Orioles. I left Memorial Day weekend playing caps for the Red Sox. I honestly believe to answer your question, it's not going to get any better. And there is nobody on this team that will take that next step and push the drive into this team. And this comes all the way from Kennedy, but all the way down through. Thank you.
Yeah, so Dave, look, again, I asked that question. Who is going to lead them out of it? Who will lead them out of it? Who's going to be the one that says, we're not doing this anymore. I'm here to win. We are going to win, and we're going to commit to winning, and we're going to do the things necessary to win. Whether it's moving runners, turning double plays, whatever it is, we are going to do it. No is not an acceptable answer, and we're going to focus on it. We're going to show up every night prepared to do it. Sean in Marlboro. Go ahead, Sean.
Hey, you've covered most of what I wanted to talk about, but the names that have come to mind while you're talking, Trot Nixon, Johnny Gomes, Kurt Schilling, it's not even necessarily a guy that'll say, hey, let's turn a double play, let's do this. It's guys that are just, let's get some energy in this room, let's play hard, because this team doesn't forget feeling like they want to win. This team feels like it doesn't care about winning. And Bregman might have been a guy. I don't think he was vocal enough, but when Devers is the face of your organization and he's saying he doesn't even want to play first base, your leader is telling your team, who cares?
Yeah, Sean, so this is part of the problem with Devers. He's not a leader. He never has been. They sort of backed their way into signing him because they let other people go, and they don't have a leader. The fact that Rob Refsnyder was the one delivering that message after the game yesterday should tell you plenty. And I love Refsnyder. I think he's a pro. I think he's the pro's pro. But he's an extra outfielder. That's what he is. He plays against left-handed pitching. He's not an everyday player. He's become a hell of a platoon type of guy. Excellent. Early in his career, he's gotten better as he's gotten older. So, and I would equate Refsnyder, he's like a Gabe Kapler type in some ways, although a better player than Kapler was. Kapler was on those championship teams. He was valuable in the clubhouse, but he was a role player. He wasn't the face of the team. He wasn't the identity of the team, but he was part of the fabric on the inside. I think that's what Refsnyder is. Nobody else is going to stand there and say the kinds of things that Refsnyder said. Nobody. And again, tactically, I've always respected Alex Cora's game management skills. But remember, 3, 4, 5 years ago, Cora was talking about getting out of managing. So now, 3, 4, 5 bad years later, all of a sudden he's going to have the same energy, same attitude he did 5 years ago? When you look at it now, with the way the whole Rafael Devers situation went down, they never should have brought Cora back. Unless something changes in there, I don't see where Cora is setting the standard. They don't have anybody setting that standard. Quickly, Bruce in Gloucester. Go ahead, Bruce.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it goes back to 2018 when they could have traded Betts and they could have traded Jackie Bradley Jr., who was the MVP of the American League Series, and they didn't. And we ended up with Betts getting Wong and Verdugo. So now they've been recycling all these average or above average hitters, fielders, and pitchers. They didn't sign Evaldi. They didn't sign Waka. They let Bogarts go. So now we've got Bregman, Story, and
so Bruce, I understand. I understand what you're getting at. I'm going to let you go just because I don't want to go through every single move. Okay, I don't think the problem happened it may have started between 2018 and 2019, but not for the reasons you said. Cora showed up the next spring and said, we don't want to turn the page. We had a good year, so in a lot of ways, we don't want to turn the page. That was a mistake. I'm not sure they've ever really recovered from it. And again, I'm being dramatic, but that sort of mentality, you show up the next year and you try to win again. So the 2019 team, after that 2018 season, was not the time to dismantle it. They had a good team. If they generally wanted to keep it together, I get it. But the attitude fell off. Then the cheating scandal happened. Then COVID came. Then they came back and they had a good 2021 when Cora returned. Okay, and I'll say relatively good 2021. And then I think they thought they had all the answers again. And they didn't. Cora got frustrated with the talent level. He started stabbing Bloom in the back. Bloom didn't get it. The whole 9 yards. And then it snowballed. And it's been snowballing ever since. How do they get out of it? This is the question I'd be asking myself if I were over there, if I were them. How do we get out of this cycle? Because I don't see the urgency. I don't see the guy coming through the door that's saying, no, you guys, your mentality's all wrong. Everything's on the long term. It's about making the playoffs, a competitive product, and not necessarily winning championships. So they can feed us the rhetoric, but I don't see it in their tone, their bodies, their actions. I don't see it. And I don't know, maybe that's a very intangible thing. I'm sure people who are smarter than I am, and that's a lot of them, would sit there and say you're reading into things. I don't see the willingness and the level of sacrifice and commitment. And when I say commitment, I'm talking about moving a runner over and doing basic things instead of striking out a league-leading number of times with or without runners in scoring position. The offensive approach sucks. The pitching approach sucks. They've put these young kids in a horrible spot. And I don't see anybody really all that broken up about it. Kevin Majori's get your... Oh, let me just say this quickly. We'll do Trivia Tuesday when we come back. So let me give you the number, 617-931-0985. It'll just be on the contest line. Trivia Tuesday is presented by Gulf. You'll win a $50 gas card from Gulf to fuel your way to Fenway. 617-931-0985. We'll take the first two callers. If neither one of them gets a question right, we'll go to the next two. Maximum of 4 callers with the hope of giving away that gas card. We'll do that in your calls when we come back.
on the Sports Hub.
Let's play trivia. Tuesdays are for trivia. Maz has baseball trivia. It's time for you to win some stuff.
All right, here we go. That time of the week. Give away a $50 Gulf gas card. Presented by Gulf, Trivia Tuesday. You can win a $50 gas card from Gulf to fuel your way to Fenway. So here's how it goes. We'll take contestant 1, ask him a question. If he gets it correct, contest is over. We give away the gift card. If he gets it wrong, we bring in contestant 2. Same rules. If he fails, or she, we'll then bring in 2 more, but a max of 4 contestants. Okay, and these the questions are not super difficult. We'll do this quickly so we can get back to your calls to bitch about the Red Sox. 617-779-0985 is the show line, the caller line. We have a couple of open lines. I see a couple of calls there as well. So you want to get in, by all means, reach out, and we'll begin our bitch fest momentarily. Mike in Hopkinton on line 1 is our first contestant. Mike, are you there?
Hey, Tony, how you doing?
Okay, I don't know if you have your window rolled down or something, whatever, but we're getting a lot of background noise. In any case.
All right, hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Is that better?
That is a little bit better. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
All
so
right.
here's your question. It's okay. Here's your question for the $50 Gulf gas card. How many times have the Red Sox been shut out this season? 0, 1, 2, or 3?
0.
0 is correct. That is the right answer. Very good. All right. Stay on the line. Don't go anywhere. That was easy. I was hoping that someone would take the cheese there, Jimmy. It's incredible. They have not been shut out yet. I think they are the only team in the major leagues that has not been shut out. And it is interesting for this reason. Tom Caron yesterday tweeted this about the Red Sox. The Red Sox have 267 runs scored. That is third most in the American League. So this is why, again, the analytics suck. Because run differential baseball analytics are built on large samples. So you would see that the Red Sox have the number 3 offense in the game, and you would say, well, there's nothing wrong with the offense. Third most. But 139 of those runs have been scored in 13 games in which the Red Sox have averaged 10.7 runs. They're 12-1 in those 13 games. But again, the more pertinent fact is that 139 of their total runs have been scored in 13 games. In the other 42 games, 42 out of 55, let's just comfortably call it 80% of the schedule, the Red Sox have averaged 3.1 runs per game and gone 15 and 27. Now, what I would love for Tom Caron to tell me is in those other 42 games where that 3.1 runs per game would rank. Obviously, near the bottom of the league. It's been an entirely trick-or-treat offense. It's one of the big problems with this team. Their approach is not consistent, and they can't hit certain kinds of pitching. Specifically, velocity up in the strike zone. They suck at it. So it's a big problem. Which brings me to Garrett Crochet in yesterday's game. When you are the ace of a team, and there's a difference between an ace and a number 1 starter, you don't give up home runs on the first pitch of the game. And if you do, you don't give up anything else the rest of the way. So if your offense is limited, win 1-0. Crochet had a game this year against Toronto, 0-0 entering the 6th. He gives up a home run to George Springer, I think, with nobody out or with 1 out. The Red Sox end up losing the game 6-1, but Crochet got the loss. Jimmy, did he deserve a loss in a game like that?
No.
See, I say yes.
Oh.
So because again, it's 0-0 in the 6th. 1 run could decide it. That game, that night, you can't make a mistake. So don't. Let the other guy make the mistake. Crochet gives up a home run. He loses. He got a loss. His losses this year have come in games 3-2, 4-2, 4-3, and the 6-1 game I just told you about. I don't pay Garrett Crochet close to $30 million a year to lose close games. I pay him to win them. That's the reason I gave him the money. Ray's in Revere. Go ahead, Ray.
I answer you two questions. So, first of all, there's nobody in that clubhouse that can lead them. And I don't think they overcome the Bregman injury. They don't have enough right-handed bats in that lineup. But if they could make one big change, Tony, that would change the culture, and that would be cutting Trevor's Story, okay? And then turning around and making a big trade. I think that would get the locker room attention. But I don't think they have a confident general manager, Tony. I think that's the problem, and I think the owner's checked out. Thank you.
Yeah, so Ray, I worry about that too, but I'll tell you what, as far as big moves go, Story's one of the ones that they could make. And when I say a big move, even that's not a big move at this point. You know what the real big move would be, Jimmy? Not just to dump Trevor Story, to move him to second base. Okay? And and put Marcelo Meyer at short. That would be a message. Trevor, you're still going to play a little, but you're going to bat ninth. You're going to play second base, and we'll go from there. And then you'd say, what do you do with Christian Campbell? I'd put Christian Campbell in center for now, or put him at first base. Or if you want to release Story, that's fine too. Okay? But you want to make an example of Trevor Story? Releasing him, putting him on the bench, or making him change positions to accommodate someone who's better at this stage would be quite a statement. Now, again, the putting him at second base thing might be a little stupid because you got Campbell there. But you get the idea. You need to make an example of a veteran player who's not pulling his weight. He doesn't just get to keep playing because he stinks, and he stunk since the day he got here. Charles is in Iowa. Go ahead, Charles.
Yes, I was wondering, what's it going to take to get Raphael to play first base? You get the owner who flies out to Kansas City to talk to him, tries a little diplomacy. It doesn't work. You would think he would be leaning on the manager or somebody and say, listen, you're going to have to move him. We've tried to be pleasant with him. We've tried to work it out. But it seems like Devers not going to do it.
Yeah, so Charles, here's what I would tell you, that Alex Cora clearly dumped this thing on Breslow and on ownership because he didn't want to be the guy that asked Devers to change positions. And so, to me, that just creates this rift in the organization. I can't imagine that Breslow was too happy about that. So the whole dynamic is odd. But if Devers hasn't done it yet, and if they've already put Christian Campbell over there to start getting some work in and taking grounders and learning the footwork and the nuances, Devers isn't going over there anytime soon. Otherwise, why would they have started the whole thing with Campbell? So I think that ship has sailed. My guess is he told them, I'll think about it next season. If I had to guess. Jim in Florida. Go ahead, Jim.
Tony, do you remember the time when they were talking about potentially Cora becoming like the next Mike Scioscia of the Red Sox, of him being general manager and coach?
Yes.
And if they had gone that way, do you think they'd be better off now?
Jim, it's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to think that one out. My gut tells me probably. And when I would say probably, because I think that certainly you'd eliminate the communication gap that could potentially and does exist between the manager and the GM, and the manager saying, well, I'm not going to ask a guy to move positions. You do it. Because in that case, he's the same person. In the same breath, I'll tell you, it's a big job for one person. To do both, it's a big job. So would it be better if they had given full control of the organization to Alex Cora over Craig Breslow? It's a great question. It really is. My instinct is to say yes. But at the same time, what? Does that justify the fact that Cora doesn't seem to be all that interested in really digging in and managing the team anymore on a day-to-day basis? He just doesn't want to deal with the headaches as much? Because I don't think it justifies that either. So don't go anywhere. 617-779-0985. We'll wrap it up with your calls when we come back. I had thoughts on Marcelo Meyer's debut weekend, if you would. But I will probably get to those tomorrow just because we're short on time. If we have time here, I'll squeeze them in at the end and repeat them tomorrow. But in any case, John's in the car. John, what do you got?
Tony, what did they tell us about Cora when we got him? He's one of the best in-game managers. He'll develop the young talent, and he connects with his players. And the 2018 Alex Cora versus this year's Alex Cora are north and south pole opposite. But at the end of the day, I still can't blame him because even though this team got Crochet and Bregman this year, they've been stagnant for 6 years. And it would be like you and I putting on 100 pounds over 6 years and then wanting to fix it in 1 year. You just can't do that. They're a long way away from fixing it. And unfortunately, now the manager can't look like any less interested than he does right now.
Yeah, so John, it's hard for me to say how far they are not away because it can change fast. Again, if you get, let's just say if they had signed Max Fried, added Crochet, and brought in Bregman, could it have been different? And my answer is yes. I think it could have been different. But I think Fried is that good. I think it would have completely changed the makeup of your rotation, and the trickle effect can be big. And so then all of a sudden you start winning, and now guys start buying in, and then all of a sudden you get everything rolling in the right direction. Now, do I think it would have been, World Series caliber? Probably not. But it would have been better than it is now. So all I'm saying is it's impossible to predict. I would focus on the part of Cora's not the same guy he was when he came in 2018. He's not. His whole perspective on things has changed. He won a championship and he got busted for cheating. He got suspended for a year. He went out of the game, and was out of baseball. So when he came back, I think he was more guarded. I think he was a different person. I think he was resentful of the fact that he became the fall guy for it, whether rightly or wrongly. I'm just telling you. So I think he's different. And then when he was able to get the contract, that became a priority for him because now the winning was as important as providing for his family and regaining his credibility. So a lot has changed since then, but the Red Sox didn't recognize it. And it's easy for us to say in hindsight, but look, that's the job. So what do you want me to tell you? This is what we do. We talk about the stuff that has already happened and wondered if it could have been different. So I don't like the spot they're in. I don't like the way they set this up for the young guys. They knew these guys had been coming. They didn't really build the framework around them properly. They certainly didn't do it for Casas or Bayo or Rafaela. Those guys came in and were put in tough spots. Now, these guys a little less so because they're a little bit better in terms of talent. They have Crochet at a minimum. But where's it going to go? I don't know. I don't feel great about it, I'll tell you that. Joe Murray's here tonight, I presume, Jimmy? Joe Murray's got you for the rest of the night. Majority's got your headlines here. And now, who's pitching tonight? Is it Fitz is back on the mound?
Dick Fitz.
Okay, Richard Fitz back on the mound. After one rehab outing in which he threw 30...